Lorcana Locals!
Marvelous! Fight!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with more Lorcana Locals at Geek Retreat. Shout out to Geek Retreat, commentated by your main man for the plan, TheXploder Calls. I hope you are doing great. Today we have James on the right, Freddie, brand new player, on the left. Freddie on the left playing RAmethyst Hyper Aggro, while James on the right playing with RAmethyst. That's his Ruby Amethyst list that he made all by himself. Ain't that lovely? So, starting off, Freddie on the play with turn 1 Illuminary Keeper Broom. Very, very nice. One of my favourite brooms, if not debatably the single best broom in the entire game. Followed up with James's turn with the 1-drop Rafiki, which is an ideal counter. Now, it will be interesting to see how Freddie plays here. This is the first time I've ever seen him play at a Locals. He is an employee of the Geek Retreat where we're at, so it's very good to see him play for the first time. He's going to quest with a Luminary Keeper, get the 1 lore, play out the aggro 2 lore Lilo, then discard the Illuminary as a result of Lilo being played to draw a card. Fantastic play. Sadly, there's no second 1-drop, which would have been fantastic in this situation. Could have been a second Illuminary, could have been a Chernobog follower, could have been the 2-quester Maleficent, or another Lilo. Sad times, but hey-ho, you can only do what your deck allows, and your opening hand for that matter. Back over to James as he plays out Lumiere, giving Rafiki an extra +1 attack onto the board. No targets to swing into, but that's fine, because the Monkey gets to quest for 1. Fantabby-dozy. Both equal on board as we head back over to Freddie, 2 ink at his disposal. Make that 3 with the inking of the Mim Snake, as he is now contemplating what to do, paying the 3 and playing out the Donald Duck Bodyguard. I love this bodyguard personally. Comes out as a bodyguard, and when you play this character, give another chosen character +1 lore this turn, making Lilo a quest for 3. So, this now puts Freddie onto 4 lore on turn 2. Fantastic play, and now Lilo's protected because of the bodyguard, even though it's going to be real simple for Rafiki to bash into that Donald Duck. Very, very good move. You have to start being very, very power hungry when you're going against aggro. You cannot let them keep their combo pieces on board forever, because if you do, and if you don't swing, they're just going to keep piling up and questing for 2, 3, 4 every single turn, and that's no bueno. But there's for Rush Rafiki, a 4-3 thanks to the effect of Lumiere. Lumiere questing for 1, board cleared, James in control, Freddie on the back seat. Youch, not the best way to start when you're playing Hyper Aggro. And of course, one of the biggest problems you have in Hyper Aggro is your hand size, because as long as you have everything you need in order to play out a bunch of cards in order to quest as soon as humanly possible, who needs hand size, am I right? Pays out the 1 for the Lilo, and then there is the card I don't remember the name of because I don't personally play it. But effectively, I'll bring it up on screen for those of you that are also interested, and to remind me later on. But effectively, you play it and you gain 2 lore. Simple as. A fantastic aggro piece. More uninkables, which is another red danger zone for the Hyper Aggro decks. Because if you have a ton of uninkables in play, you're not inking every turn, you don't have the consistent card draw. It's a big risk-reward strategy, but you either go all in hopes that it works and you're able to outquest your opponent before it's too late, or you just don't. It's as simple as that. James tempted of what to do here, quests with the Lumiere, gets in the Madam Mim Snake for the cheeky bounce tech, which we like, so the Rush Rafiki is back in hand. I'm hoping that James did quest with the Rush Rafiki before he did all that. I'm hoping he did. I kind of missed that while I was on my tirade about the Hyper Aggro play situation and the uninkables, so I apologise about that from earlier. Back over the Freddie's turn, and it's not looking good. even though he can quest for 2 with Lilo, and he has. Now it's a matter of what is he going to do next. Plays out Hades, that allows him to get a character from his discard back into his hand. I don't know whether he's going to go for the Lilo or for the Donald Duck, but we will soon find out. You are supposed to reveal it, I believe, so I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think it has a reveal clause in the effect of Hades. I'll bring that Hades up on the screen again, and I'll double check in my post edits to make sure if I'm correct or not. But I've not seen that Hades come into play a lot. Another big uninkable play as well, which scares me. Which at this stage in Hyper Aggro, there's a lot of options you can pick that are inkable and are, in my opinion, a lot more playable. But hey ho, you have to make your decisions. There's Rush Rafiki, gets rid of the Lilo, quest for 1 with the Mim Snake. Simple, easy, elegant, just the way we like it. James doesn't have to do a lot here to control the board. He's doing everything as pretty much ideal as you wanted. He could potentially risk questing with Lumiere, but I can understand why he doesn't want to, because that +1 attack value is going to scare the chances of Freddie thinking at any point to tackle into anything just to get rid of it. No point doing that with Hades, unless you're able to bounce Hades back and use him later on, but I don't know. In Hyper Aggro, instead of a Hades, I'd personally pick the new 2-cost Amber Song that brings back a card from your discard into your hand that has a 2-cost or less. That's way better, because that targets your 1-drop Lilos, your 1-drop Maleficents, your 1-drop Chernobyls, your 1-drop Illuminary Keepers to keep up for consistent card draw. I feel like that helps a lot more than the Hades does. I think Hades is a bit too steep. And of course, if you don't need it, you can ink it, so it's a very valuable inking resource. But on Freddie's turn, plays out Chernobyl followers and Blue. Big scary bodyguard Blue. I'd borderline say one of the best bodyguards in the game. Doesn't have any strength behind him, but if he's banished by any means, you just gain 2 lore, which is brilliant. That makes him a very scary bodyguard. You effectively want him off your board as soon as humanly possible. James playing the big boy play now with Jim Hawkins and RLS Legacy. Yowza. Big play with the Jimmy Jim and his ship. Tackle into Blue, that gives Freddie +2 lore. And then we're going to quest with the Madam Mim. No, in fact, we're tackling with Madam Mim into the Hades. And there we go, Mim is gone. But I think that was a very good strat regardless. Clear that board, keep control of the board as best as you can. Jim Hawkins in RLS Legacy, I believe, is evasive while he is up there. RLS will give James 2 lore at the beginning of each and every one of his turns, and it now costs 2 less for characters to move in there, which is a huge benefit as well. If he just moves all his characters in there for 1 cost next turn, and they just keep questing all day long, I don't think there's a single thing Freddie can do about it, which is a huge youch. But let's see what he's able to do as we carry on right here. Freddie having a good think. Paying the 2 lore brings out the big 3 lore Pinocchio. Sending a big message over to the J. 2 ink left standing. But is it going to do a lot else? I believe he's hand starved at this moment in time. I could be wrong. +2 lore from RLS Legacy onto James as he plays out his own 3 lore quester, the big Simba, and a second RLS Legacy just to rub it in the face. So he gets +2 lore from RLS. Quest for 2 with Jim Hawkins going up to 4. Then Rafiki, quest for 5. Lumiere, quest for 6. Huge! Questing for 6 on this turn. Next turn he gets 4 just from the RLS Legacies alone, not even counting Jim or anyone else. That is +3 lore for Freddie off of a Pinocchio. What the heck is he going to do with a board like this? Inking the Chernobyl followers, leaving him with 5 ink at his disposal. I believe he has missed a couple of ink drops, and I think that has to do with the number of uninkables that he could be running in the deck. That is, like I said earlier, a flaw with Hyper Aggro that you need to be careful of. There is Piggles. Eagle Pickle Piglet. That comes out onto the board alongside Baloo. So Piglet, when he comes out onto the board, if you have two or more characters in play, Piglet itself gains +2 lore. That is all the lore you need in order to win the game, says Jay. Fantastic end to game 1. That was really in James's favour there. I feel sorry for Freddie, but maybe Freddie can make a comeback in game 2. Let's roll forward and get to there. We are back. Game 2, Freddie versus James, Hyper Aggro versus RAmethyst. I quite like that name, actually. It's really good. Well done, James, on that one. So, sad times. Freddie starts the game and sadly has to give up round 1. I had to check the audio of this fight in order to make sure that that was correct. Yes, Freddie had nothing turn 1. No inkables whatsoever. This is post-mulligan, ladies and gentlemen. Huge youch. I have never seen that on any of these episodes before. Big youchies as James starts off with the 1-drop Pascal. Good to see a Pascal still this late into the game with Azure Sea. Very fun. Finally has an Inkable. Puts down the Illuminary Keeper. And it just makes me question. You had a Luminary Keeper in hand? And with other Inkables and you had no turn 1 options? That's a big question mark for me. Even if a Luminary Keeper was your only turn 1 option, I'd still put him down. I'd still ink him and play something. Obviously, we don't know what is in that hand. But big question marks left in my head there. James's turn. Plays out Lumiere yet again. Pascal's now a 2-1. Quests for that one. Pascal is now evasive, which is fantastic. Back over to Freddie. Inks. Manages to quest with a Luminary Keeper, going up to 1. He is now on the back foot, so even though he had the play, he could not play Make because he decided to just give turn 1 over, which was a big upset right there, but manages to play out the quest for free Pinocchio, and a Luminary goes, allowing him to draw a card. Classic play, nice and simple, can't complain. Roll back over to James, who in my opinion is on the dominant step this early on already. It's very worrisome. My logic there is that it might be that because Freddie is not used to playing his deck yet, or not used to playing Lorcana in general. So it always begs the question, if you cannot play something this turn this early, what are you mulliganing? Or what is in your deck that you're unable to play with? That's my big questions here. Decides to quest with both Pascal and Lumiere for 2. Plays out the Archimedes, was able to quest for 2 and is evasive as well. Brilliant job by Jay. Roll back over to Freddie, because Freddie won't be attacking into anything anyway. He's most likely going to quest for 3 with Pinocchio in a moment in order to benefit from that and go up to 4 lore total. At least we're hoping. Pays out for 3. There is Bodyguard Donald. Oh, it's questing for 4. Whoa! Goes up to 5 instead. Well done. Very good play there. Has a Bodyguard out on the board. James doesn't necessarily have the strongest guys to take Donald down. He doesn't even necessarily have the right kit to take Donald down. So this is actually a nice intimidating play right now, because James would want to keep questing with Pascal and Archimedes and not risk the Lumiere. Yes, you can trade Archimedes into Donald, but you're missing out on being able to quest for 2 with an evasive character, and you're just sacking the evasive into a Bodyguard. That's all you're doing. The goat gets played. Beautiful job. Get the +1 lore off of the goat. And this now leaves James with a question and a quandary. What is he tempted to do? He is tempted. He wants to swing into Pinocchio, but that Donald Duck is indeed a Bodyguard. You have to go through the duck first. He's going to do it. He's sacking Archimedes into the duck. I understand why, but I would have probably left it until next turn when the goat could have done it instead and would have quested for 2, in my opinion. Tackles into Pinocchio with the Lumiere, taking 1 damage on him, questing for 1 with the Pascal. I understand the logic, however, regardless of the choices I would have made, because look at that board. James is in control. He's got a goat, he's got a Lumiere, he's got a Pascal, while Freddie has absolutely nothing. Yes, Freddie was able to get quite a lot of lore last turn, but now what's he going to do? What does he have in his hand in order to capitalize on this situation? Inks a Chernobog follower. All of this card draw, cheap level card draw engine is just being inked right now, and I feel really bad about it. Plays out another free quest Pinocchio, and plays out another one of those cards I don't remember off the top of my head to just gain 2 lore raw. He's chasing, and I will give Freddie that. He is chasing and setting a pace even though he's on the back foot. Very fair play to him. Cannot argue with that whatsoever. Go back over to James, who is in a very dominant position, plays out his Simba, being able to quest for free, and the tech. Arthur comes out in here, and he is ready to use that Arthur to the best of his abilities. So, what are we going to do here, I wonder? Yes, Lumiere does have 1 damage on him because of the Pinocchio from the last turn. James can just quest with absolutely everybody, I think, and get away scot-free. That's what he's going to do. He's going to quest for 2. Goat and Pascal. Take him up that little bit more and just sit back, because next turn, with Arthur on the board, you can quest for 1 for Arthur, bounce back for Goat, get 1 off of Goat, get an extra 2 off of Arthur, and that in itself means that you get 1, 2, 3, 4 lore off of just 2 cards, and then you can just replay the Goat, make that 5 lore, and that's 5, 6, 7, 8 on Simba, 9 on Pascal, 10 on Lumiere. That is a 10 lore play in James's back pocket. It's insane. It's kind of crazy. And the thing is, Freddie doesn't have a lot that can really tackle the Arthur tech here, so it's the perfect game to pull it out. Quest for free with the Pinocchio, gain the 1 off of the Goat. Simple, easy play by Freddie, but is it already too late to even try any of this crazy aggro tech with a board that James has? Let's see what he's going to do. He can potentially quest for 10 if he wants to, but it's up to him as to whether he's going to do it. Here we go. He's adding it up in his head. He's having a big boy think of it all. That is 3, 4, 5 already questing for. Fantastic. Builds up for 5. Quests with Arthur for 6. Bounces back the Simba instead with the effect of Arthur. I personally wouldn't have done that. I would have done Goat, because you missed out on being able to get that big lore gain. But I understand why, because it's a very cheap card to put back out if you pay the ink to do it. And is he going to bring it back out, the Simba? No, he's actually going to bring out the Mim Snake, bouncing back the Arthur. Trippy. Very trippy turn there from James. Returning the Arthur tech. I guess it's a smart move regardless, because if he left Arthur the way that he did, Merlin Goat would have easily just tackled into Arthur just to get rid of him. And yes, you would have had a 10 lore play this turn, but you got to consider, you pull off 10 lore with Arthur once. Are you able to win the game after that point, or is your opponent able to beat you to it in a Hyper Aggro deck? That is a very, very good question, but needless to say, interesting move by James. I like it. I personally wouldn't have done it that way, but I like it regardless. Still has control over board overall. Freddie's going to quest for 1 with the Goat. Not going to tackle into anything at all. Mim Fox comes out. Brings the Goat back. That's another +1 lore for Freddie. Fantastic use there. Now has a Rush Fox in play that can tackle only the Goat, because Pascal does have evasive. Remember that. Plays out Piglet, so now Piglet does have +2 lore on it as well. Too bad to conquest this turn, or else that would have been a huge boon for Freddie right there and then. But look at the scenario now. I think Freddie's only just realizing he can only tackle into the Goat. If he tackles into the Goat, it is a straight trade with Mim Fox, and James benefits by getting +1 lore from the Goat as well. This is a big, big question time moment for Freddie, and I think he's not going to make the comeback at this rate, but we'll find out. We will see. I've been surprised before. I will easily be surprised again. Where's a Ben? Anyway, quest for free with Pinocchio. Back over to James's turn. James just simply quests for absolutely everything. Wins the game. What a dominant play there by James. And sad times for Freddie. That's sometimes the price you have to pay when playing Hyper Aggro. It's a very big risk, big reward strategy, and the risk didn't pay out this time round. But great game regardless. GG for both Freddie and James taking part in the video yet again. Big shout out to Geek Retreat again for hosting everything. And big shout out to a big supporter of the channel and the content, Magic Madhouse, where you can go to my link down in the description below if you want to treat yourself to any tabletop fun times, be that trading cards, tabletop role-playing stuff, board games, you name it. If you want to benefit the channel in any other way, consider subscribing, posting up a comment, sharing this with your friends, family and whatnot, and even supporting me over on my Ko-Fi page if you want to drop a pound or two. That is the end of this game. I'll see you in the next game. Stay safe, stay awesome, most importantly stay explosive, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.